Well, this is a continuation of our stage 2 induction on a compound miter saw. The safety equipment that we need is hearing protection, our P2 dust mask and our safety glasses. It is important before you start operating this machine, you let everybody know in a loud voice that you are going to use this machine and for them to put on their hearing protection. This machine, when we're cutting hardwood, it has been rated at about 105 decibels, which can affect your hearing considerably. So think of your fellow students and let everyone know in the vicinity that you're going to use the machine. I'll just now go through some of the do's and don'ts, material you can cut and not cut on this machine. It is exactly the same as a bandsaw. We cannot cut the treated timber. This is like this blue coloured or a green coloured. It is treated. It is the chemicals that are in it are quite toxic, so we do not use it in the workshop. Once again, round material. We do not cut this on the circular saw unless you are supervised. There is ways of clamping your material on this machine, but if you do have to use it, you must make sure you see one of the supervisors and we can show you how to clamp it safely. Remember to check for screws, nails, foreign objects, staples in the end of your material, because they will damage the blade considerably. They are tungsten tipped blades, and if it hits a nail or screw, one of the tips can break off and it becomes a very serious projectile. Also check for loose knots like these. Okay. Also check for cracks. And once again, we do not cut bush timber or green timber or unseasoned timber. It's extremely dangerous. This machine is only designed for cutting across the grain. Now you see the grain structure there? That is with the grain, and when you come across this way, that is across the grain. It is not designed for cutting with the grain. It is not a rip blade in it, it is a docking saw blade. So you can only cut across the grain. When we are using this machine, okay, the timber must be firmly against the back fence and then clamped with these side clamps. That way we can have two hands on the machine and our fingers are going to be nowhere near the blade. Another little safety thing I want you to do, as I pointed out, this machine has tungsten teeth on it. They are silver soldered onto the high-speed steel blade. If you do hit something extremely hard in the timber, there is a chance that these can fly off. Even though it is well guarded, okay, it's all a good idea just to have your body to one side of the blade. Try not to stand directly in front of the blade, just keep your body to one side. This machine, because we are using a fence, okay, and it's set up at 90 degrees with the gauge, we do not need to put a line all the way through, we only need a mark on one edge. This is quite versatile, this machine. If you want to do a series of multiple cuts, what we do, we can use a stop. Okay, we can do our measurement from our blade to our stop we can clamp the stop in position. We'll move our timber up to the stop, clamp it, do our cut, take our piece of timber out, reposition it. That way we can do a series of multiple cuts and we know they're going to be extremely accurate and also safe. Whereas if we use the bandsaw, like I did in the previous demonstration, you have to mark it, you have to cut it, you have to sand it. It is not an accurate way of doing multiple cuts. The docking saw is far superior if you have to do multiple cuts. We also, on this machine, we have these extendable guides or fences or rests. Okay, they also have a stop on the end of it, so we can adjust to whatever length we want, and that way the timber can fit up to your stop and we can do multiple cuts that way if they're long pieces of timber. We have these side clamps as well, which are quite handy. Take the longer pieces of timber. What you do, you have a quick adjustment. You slide the clamp in, this lever comes out, that engages the thread. You do your final adjustment, and you can also lock down with your top clamp. That way the timber is quite secure. Now to do our cut, I will not use my safety glasses. This is rigged up, my P2 dust mask. This machine is rigged up to a dust extracting system. It will come on automatically as soon as I pull the trigger. You definitely need your hearing protection before you start. You just let everyone know in the area. Alright everyone, I am now going to use a docking saw. Can you put your hearing protection on please? 2 hands on the machine. Line your work up. Now can you see how the side of the blade is just touching on the piece that I want? This is the material that I want here. Lock it in place. You can use your side clamps as well. 2 hands on, making sure your body is not in line with the blade. Pull the machine down. We have a safety button that must be pushed on, and then our on-off button. Release the trigger. Wait till the machine stops. Lift it up, and then take your material away. Now I don't know how if you can see that, but you can just see I've virtually cut that line in half. It's that accurate. You can also see the finish. It's equally as good as finish what you can get on your disc sander. So there's no need to cut it, then disc sand it. And it's done in one operation, straight off the machine. You will not get a better cut. Now, sometimes we have to cut small pieces of material. Like so. This does become quite a problem because this is not supported on this side fence. And what can happen with that, it can fly, get caught in the blade and get damaged and fly out and injure someone. So if we have to do a small cut, we can either do one or two things. We can put a temporary fence like so. We can lock that into place. We can mark where we want to cut. Bring our saw down. Clamp it in place. Two hands on the saw. Perfectly safe. Now I've shown you how to use the machine. I will just go through and we'll identify a few of the hazards, the risks and the management side. Obviously the hazard of this is the blade, fast spinning blade. We're very fortunate with these modern equipment. We've got very good guarding there, but as you pull the machine down, the guard lifts up, so you do have exposed blade. So this is why I want you to make sure you have two hands on it. So obviously the hazards are the fast spinning blade, noise, dust, fumes, projectiles. The risks are, okay, obviously amputations, lacerations, inhalation from the dust, hearing, projectiles, entanglements. How do we manage these? The first one is keeping two hands on the handle. Impossible to cut your hands in it. If you've got two hands on the handle, you cannot cut yourself. If your work is clamped, held in position, we're going to eliminate the problems of projectiles. Our P2, our dust extracting system, is going to eliminate the hazard of the fumes. The noise, our hearing protection and communication to the rest of the students. Entanglements, making sure you've got no loose clothing, long hair restrained, and our correct technique by keeping to one side of the blade in case there is any unforeseen material inside there, because sometimes these are trees, they come from forest, they do get embedded with foreign objects. Sometimes you don't know what's inside the tree itself. And once they get logged, that may be embedded with an old bullet, nail, anything, we don't know. So keep to one side, two hands on the machine, make sure everything's clamped, and we've eliminated all the possibilities of us hurting ourselves.